Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Win TV. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, and we're so glad that you decided to join us today, where we always try to bring you the news that matters. If you're watching on Facebook, we certainly would ask that you would push share. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. And I hope you've picked up a copy of your issue of the Washington Informer and that you've had a chance to read this week's issue, all the news that we have to share with the community. But if not, you can read a digital edition online at washingtoninformer.com. And while you're there, please become a subscriber. We are so happy to find that you all are enjoying our publication and the work that our writers produce enough to subscribe. And we want to continue to send you through email copies of the Informer, updated news about things that are going on in the community. Many of you all use the Washington Informer to promote your events. And we have a growing audience, but you're missing out if you're not subscribing. So we hope you will consider doing that because we'd love to have you as a part of the Washington Informer family. Once again, we have an exciting show for you today. We'll be talking to Brenda Donald, Director of Child and Family Services for the District of Columbia, because we have a growing concern about what's happening with these babies in our community and what Child and Family Services is offering to mothers in distress. And then there's also Jessica Ehrlich, Chief of Staff for the DC Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking, also known as DISB. We're going to talk about your financial health, as well as Michelle Hammonds, Director of the Financial Empowerment and Education Division for DISB. We mentioned last week that we were going to have a guest to join us this week to talk about Stroke Awareness Month. May is Stroke Awareness Month, and if you're concerned with your health and how to prevent strokes, we've invited Dr. Lexington Culpepper, one of two Black vascular neurologist in the DC area. So he's with Inova Hospital, and he's going to talk to us as a subject matter expert from the American Stroke Association. In addition to Stroke Month, it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. Next week, we look forward to having the director of the Department of Behavioral Health, who's going to share so many resources that the district has for those who are in need of mental health services. But we are really glad to have Elisa Petersell, CEO of My Wellbeing, with us to talk about the services that they're offering this month and just things that we need to be aware of to make sure that we are staying mentally well. And I am so excited to have Wendell Alsbrook. If you haven't heard of him, you will be excited to know that this man from DC is a butcher and owner of Georgetown Butcher. And if you're getting ready for your Memorial Day celebrations, or now that we can all gather again, or 4th of July, or Juneteenth, I should have mentioned that, especially Juneteenth. Wendell has so much great food and advice for us, and a story about how he started Georgetown Butcher. So with that, we know that, things have changed and we are opening up a lot more. So I'm so glad to know that. But, there's still certain precautions. Dr. V is not with us this week, but we know that you may have many questions to ask her. So feel free to email us at news@washingtoninformer.com. Again, email us at news@washingtoninformer.com. We want to get those questions answered for you regarding COVID. I know I wanted to talk to her about the boosters. I'm like, do another shot? But yes, if that's what it takes, we need to know more information about that, when and how and where. So with that, we're going to go to, our news reporter, Curtis, who's going to give us some updates on what's been going on in the city, the region, and the nation and the world. So we'll be right back.
This is Curtis Knowles reporting with WIN TV News. Prince George's County will be lifting COVID restrictions this coming Monday at 5 p.m. The restriction lift comes as a result of declining cases and hospitalizations in the county. The indoor mask mandate will remain active, however, until health metrics improve further. The Housing and Urban Development Secretary, Marcia L. Fudge, will be allocating $5 billion of the American Rescue Plan funds for emergency housing vouchers for people who are or at risk of being homeless. Around 70,000 housing vouchers will be distributed nationwide, 700 of which will be awarded to the D.C. Housing Authority. A proposed tax on sugary drinks is sparking a debate in the district. The hearing for the Nutrition Equity Amendment Act was scheduled for Wednesday. The act proposed a repeal of the 8% sales tax on sugary drinks and impose a 1.5 cent per ounce tax instead. While some argue this is a positive step for city health, others say it will be a detriment for businesses. President Biden made a call on Wednesday for Israel to de-escalate its military assault on Palestine. The Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, says that he's determined to continue his 10-day assault against Palestine until, quote, his aims are met. Israel's refusal could cause its relationship with the U.S. and the UN to be strained. This is Curtis Knowles reporting live with WIN TV News.
Thank you, Curtis. We appreciate that. And just on a couple of other notes, you all may have read, at least on my Facebook page, I gave tribute to my dad, the late Dr. Calvin W. Rolark, whose birthday was May the 18th. He would have been 94 this year. And I am so proud that some of the phrases that he used, that so many people continue to use, still hold true for us. And if you all ever listen to WYCB or sound off his radio show or heard him speak, he always talked about, if it is to be, it's up to me, or no one can save us for us but us. And if that wasn't or isn't still the truth, I don't know what is. So thank you for those of you who commented about your memories of Dr. Rolark. I really appreciate that. And like I said, he founded the Washington Informer, also United Black Fund, which served many community organizations throughout over the years. And I hope you got a chance to watch the Malcolm X Day celebration. May 19th was Malcolm's birthday, and the Malcolm X Day Committee, Charles Stevenson, Malik Edwards, so many from the DC area got together and did a virtual celebration, 3.5 hours. I don't want to scare you away from that, but if you missed it, visit We Act Radio on Facebook. Visit We Act Radio or the Washington Informer's Facebook page. There are links to the program. It was phenomenal. And so many folks participated, and it was just a great memory of the life and legacy of Malcolm X, and even some videos of moments in his life when he was interviewed. His daughter was a part of the program, in addition to Dick Gregory's daughter, who highlighted her dad during the program. So check it out. Go to We Act Radio or to the Washington Informer Facebook page, where you can see the Malcolm X Day DC celebration. And we also learned about the death of comedian Paul Mooney. That was shocking news to hear that he left us. And there's been some great stories about his career in comedy and entertainment. And so, and I remember going to a concert when Paul Mooney decided that he was going to stop using the N-word in his sketches. Now, mind you, I was a little distressed because he kept using the B word, but that's just Denise. But he was a great comedian and people really loved him. And we hope, our prayers go out to him and his family. And our prayers go out to Naomi Campbell. Can you believe at 50, they're reporting that Naomi gave birth to her first child? Bless you, my sister. And we will continue to keep you and your I think you had a baby. Was it a baby girl, Sherry? A baby girl. So we look to watching her growth and development over the years, and finding out how Naomi's doing, and hear more about that. The Washington Nationals said fans will be able to attend games without masks starting June 10th. And, that's really, really a great thing for people. There's nothing better than going to a baseball game on particularly a weekday afternoon, if you can get out, and just enjoying the Nationals. And it's a great family activity. But I want to give a standing ovation to the Wizards, the Washington Wizards, who made it to the playoffs. Woo! All right, all right. You know, it's been tough, and people are just rooting for them regardless. They think they will hopefully will make it all the way through. They've got some tough games ahead, but that's a tough team. They've shown how well they can do, and I am just really excited that Washington is still doing its thing as well. We'll be hearing some more about our women's basketball team, the Washington. Yeah, why am I forgetting about our women's team? Write me letters, tell me off, make me feel bad because I can't remember our women's. The Mystics? The Mystics. I don't know. I thought the Wizards. That's where I'm getting the Wizards and the Mystics mixed up. I was going to say Mystics. Yeah, but I understand they're playing still or about to over at right over here in Southeast at the arena. So we want to congratulate them as well. So with that, we were hoping that our next guest would be right up with us because she has a very, very short time to be with us. But in the meantime, Chevy, I guess we can just keep going and hope that she will be with us in a few minutes. If you are watching, remember that you can communicate with us. You can put your comments over in the chat. We certainly would like to hear what's going on in issues that you're concerned about, and how we can better serve you here on WIN TV. It's a program that we, as you know, we bring to you every Friday at noon. And it's all about trying to bring information that you can use. We do the same thing. I mean, it's part of this was our COVID baby. That's what I call it. WIN TV was the COVID baby, because when we thought, due to COVID, we weren't going to be able to distribute newspapers and get them out into the community, and you all wouldn't be able to get out to the community to pick up your papers, and it's free on newsstands. But we said, we have to find a way to stay in touch with our readers and create a new family of viewers. So we are hoping that this family will grow. And we want to thank you all for tuning in every week. We have some folks that we hear from quite often, and including, I didn't mention, even my mother watches, Vera Abbott. So thank you, Mom, if you're checking us out. And if you have any questions or just want to chat with us, please feel free to do so now. We are just kind of talking this thing through, because I think our first guest, who has a very, very short time frame, we're just waiting for her. As I said before, we have, I think, a great show ahead. We look forward. She's here. Wonderful, wonderful. Hey, Brenda. Or I should say Director Donald.
No, you should say Brenda.
Yeah, thank you. I know that you have a very, very short time frame, but I thought it was extremely important to get you on today, because I mean, this news that, is still developing about a mother, whose baby we're all looking for right now. And then we learned the other day about another baby that was found in a trash can near a hospital center. And a lot of us, have visions of things that have happened in the past when there was help for families like that. So that's why I wanted you to come on to just talk about what Child and Family Services can do for mothers in distress.
Yeah, thank you so much, Denise, and really appreciate the opportunity to share. There are resources. So first, the good news is that this hardly ever happens. It is very, very rare, thankfully, even though any child death is really hard, and we take that very, very seriously, and particularly if it's preventable, right? And so the two recent situations are very, very different. And they both are still being investigated. So we don't know the root cause and exactly what happened in either situation. But there are so many resources. So one is when families, when a parent, a young mom, or not necessarily a young mom, a mom may be struggling with whatever issues that make them feel as though they can't, successfully raise a baby, and sometimes it's a panic situation. There are all sorts of things that are underlying, but we do have a safe haven law in the District of Columbia since 2010, which means that a mother can surrender a newborn baby up to 14 days old, 2 weeks old, to the hospital with no questions asked, no questions, no punishment, can just surrender the baby. The baby will be, there's several different options. And it's only happened, I think, 5 times in the 20 years that I've been involved with, well,
Wow.
10
That's,
years even, that the law has been up. And in a couple of those situations, the parents decided, or the mothers decided that they made a mistake and they really wanted to be able to take care of their kids. And then we connect them to resources and make sure that they are able to care for the kids. In the other two situations, the babies were surrendered and they were adopted. You know, we have families who are always waiting to adopt the children. So I see you've pulled up our website. People can go on to that, but you don't even really have to ask any questions. You can go to any hospital and
okay.
just the baby will be there, and it's called the Safe Haven. But also we have all sorts of resources, mental health services, because a lot of times families are really struggling with a lot of issues. And, you know, particularly in the last 14, 15 months with COVID, families have had to deal with all sorts of issues, their own health, unemployment issues, multiple children at home, a lot of stressors on top of what just may be the normal stressors, and can feel overwhelmed. And so there we have mental health services. We have home visiting programs that help you become a parent, because there are no the manuals
Yeah,
for
and we
becoming
know,
a parent, right? That we've all had to learn. But
right.
so we have home visiting programs where we have slots available. And they're in communities where families live, or they come to you. So we have
Mm.
some that are community based. We've got parenting programs through our neighborhood collaboratives, and some that are kind of peer groups, so that parents can share and be part of a community that supports them. We also promote back to sleep. So we know that it's safer for babies to sleep on their backs. We've learned that over the years. And we have cribs available for free. We have, or pack and plays that are, the portable cribs. They're available for free. We'll have a nurse come out and, talk to you about, you know, the dangers of co-sleeping, and the appropriate way to care for your kids without putting them at risk. So there are many resources available to young parents who may be struggling and may feel overwhelmed.
So how would a mother or father, expectant mother or father, tap into those resources? I mean, hopefully, they're getting, the prenatal visits and all that, but, if they need help, does the doctor tell them where do they find out about these
Yeah.
resources?
It's a great question, because the more we try to publicize and make this information available in multiple places, but you have to reinforce it. We do have some relationships with the with pediatricians and with healthcare providers, OBGYNs. I think we're going to go out and do some more outreach and reinforce the information throughout the various healthcare providers. But also we've got community-based resources. We've got our Healthy Families Thriving Communities collaboratives that are in wards 7, 8, 4, and 1 and 5. We have family success centers that we just
Hmm.
stood up in the last year, that are in wards 7 and 8, that are in neighborhoods. And then there are community health centers as well. So there are places where hopefully they're reinforcing this information and the availability of resources. And then for you to feature this on your program and share our website information, where we can help to connect families to the different services and supports.
Well, I'm just so glad that you were willing to and able to take some time, because, when we listen to these news reports and we hear, some devastating news is happening to our children, and like it's good news to know that it's not a common occurrence. You never know when something's going to, become one. So you want to jump out ahead of it. But it's always so sad when our children are the victims, and especially babies. And so I think it's good to know, that you're there, that Child and Family Services is available. And if someone calls the line, I mean, do they just say, I need help? Is there someone that really talks them through, or is there dial 3 for this?
No. We have real people who would answer if they're calling our hotline. But also, I'm going to just put this plug in, and hopefully you'll have us come back a little later to talk about where we're installing, or we're testing out a warm line, which is really more that we hope will be more community based, that where people can just call for whatever reason. Because I understand people may be reluctant to call our hotline and think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in trouble. Even though if they call, we'll walk them through and connect them to our partner resources. But we're exploring establishing these warm lines within our community organizations, because one thing we say in DC, we have so many resources, but sometimes people don't know how to access them, or we make it difficult. So that's why we're trying to push more things down into the communities, closer to where families are, and so that we share that information. And we do have some materials, and we'll provide those more at our family success centers. Of course, now that people are starting to come out of pandemic, and they'll moving out of the virtual worlds into more environments where that information is available and can be reinforced.
I know you have to go, so I won't hold you much longer. I'm just going to ask one more question, and that is for any community organizations that are watching this and they want, to be sort of a member of the Army. They want information that they can share with their constituents. Is that available to them? And also, is there a need for volunteers?
Yes to both. And we can come out and share information. We can provide the materials if we have, materials on hand, or provide links for other organizations to share that information. But we can also do training. And certainly, we only see families or hear of something usually after something has happened.
Right.
And so we do want the armies of people who are in the communities, who know their neighbors and can see if someone is struggling. And often they may be afraid to say, oh my goodness, I don't want to call because something bad's going to happen. If we can communicate anything today, is that we are here to help, and our goal is to help families, and there are multiple partners and resources available. So if you see something, say something. The response is going to be a helping hand, first of all. And that's our goal, to really help families and to make sure the kids are safe.
All right, Brenda, thank you so much.
Thank
Director
you so
Donald, thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, we will get you back on so we can talk about those soft lines, helplines, and anything else that you all have to share. We just want to make sure we do our part to keep the community informed.
Great.
So thank you
so
being
much.
with
Good
us.
to see you.
Likewise. Bye. All righty. Yeah. So again, I think, Sherry, thank you for putting that up there. We hope that people there are a lot of organizations that work with young people, like I said, community organizations, what have you, that really you too can make that information available to your constituents, who can make it available to their neighbors. This is how we, each one bring one, support one, love one, protect one. And so we hope that you will decide to do that. So we're going to jump now actually to our next guest, and that is, thank you, Chevry. Dr. Culpepper.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm excellent. It's a great day.
Thank you. This is National Stroke Awareness Month. And, we hear about people having strokes, but we don't really know, one, what is a stroke, how to prevent a stroke. What can you tell us, Doc?
Yeah, certainly. So first of all, stroke is one of the nation's diseases. It is the second leading cause of death in the world. Here in the United States, it's the fifth leading cause of death. So as you can imagine, there's tons of people who are affected by stroke each and every day. So in fact, about every 40 seconds, someone has a stroke. And then approximately every 4 minutes, someone dies from a stroke. So it's a very serious disease. But fortunately, stroke is a preventable disease, right? And so we know that if we take care of our risk factors for stroke and we identify the risk factors, that will effectively reduce our risk for stroke.
So what are those risk factors?
Yeah, so I mean, stroke can present in any number of ways, but one easy way to remember it is be fast. All right. And so be fast is an acronym that stands for the signs and symptoms of stroke. So the more common signs and symptoms of stroke. So B means balance. And so you want to think about your balance. If you have acute onset of balance problems or dizziness. And when I say dizziness, I don't necessarily mean, lightheadedness, but more so, vertiginous or spinning type sensation or problems with your gait. Your walking ability might be compromised in some sort of way.
And I'm going to interrupt you real quick because you said vertiginous. And I know that a lot of people are, I've actually experienced it myself, vertigo. Is that what you are referring to when you say vertiginous? Okay. All right. I just wanted to make that connection. Okay. All right.
And of course, there's, central, or sometimes the vertigo can be a result of a stroke, or it can be a problem inside of the ear. And so, if you have acute onset of that problem and you've never had it before, then certainly you want to get to your ER as soon as possible, because you don't know, and you should leave it up to a neurologist or a doctor to kind of figure out whether or not it's a brain problem or inner ear problem.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So B is for the balance. E is for eyes. And so eyes can be vision, or it can be double vision or vision loss. And it can be vision loss in both eyes, right? So maybe part of the visual field is altered, or it can just be vision loss in one eye. So that's the E portion of B fast. The F is for facial numbness or weakness. And so if you have sudden onset of a droopy face, an asymmetry of your face that you know that you didn't have previously, that is certainly concerning for a stroke. The A is for arm or leg weakness on one side of the body. And that's pretty self-explanatory. And then the S is for speech. So maybe you have some slurred speech, or you're having problems finding words. Those sort of things are definitely concerning for stroke, and you certainly want to get to your nearest ED. And then the T for B fast is time, because in the setting of a stroke, every second counts. Time is brain.
No, I've also been curious, is there, because as you study this, is there a time of day that you find that, stroke may happen more frequently than others?
Yeah, I think, there's no necessary time of day. Certainly, we get a lot of cases of what we call wake up strokes. And so while a person is asleep, overnight, they might wake up with stroke like symptoms. And so then they'll present to the ER for those. But not necessarily any time of day. Stroke can happen at any time. As I mentioned earlier, every 40 seconds, someone is suffering or challenged by a stroke.
And I noticed that too, there are severities, the different severities of the impact of stroke. Some lead to, like you said, maybe lifelong paralysis on a certain side of the body. Some people recover from it. I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah, so with stroke, stroke is a abnormality of any of the blood vessels in the brain, right? And so depending on how large the blood vessel is that's impacted, depends on the amount of brain that will be involved in the stroke. And not always, but more times than not, if it's a larger blood vessel and that's impacted by the stroke or being compromised in a sort of way, then you're going to have more brain tissue involved. And so those people tend to have greater deficits. And
Hmm.
so what you really want to do is that if you have any of those BFAST symptoms or you're concerned that you might be having a stroke, you want to get to your nearest ED, your nearest hospital ED, because again, time is brain with stroke. And so our therapies, the treatments that we can do to help reverse or stop some of the symptoms of the stroke that you're having is very time sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
So you shouldn't try to wait the symptoms out. You shouldn't try to sleep them away. Or, I commonly hear people say, oh, I woke up and I had some weakness and I thought maybe if I rested and it would go away. But you don't want to do those sort of things. You want to get to your nearest ED, because if it is a stroke, those therapies may not be available for you if you wait too long.
So, and Dr. Culpepper, why is it that African Americans are at a greater risk of having a stroke?
Yeah, so stroke is really, by and large, the manifestation of uncontrolled disease processes in the body. And so if you have uncontrolled high blood pressure or uncontrolled diabetes or uncontrolled high cholesterol, on and on, so on and so forth, then if those things are controlled, then it's going to increase your risk for stroke. And we know that the number one risk for stroke is high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, African American and Black Americans are more disproportionately affected by high blood pressure.
Interesting. And so I understand your hospital, Inova Hospital, has some programs that you're doing for the Stroke Awareness Month. You want to share some of them with us?
Yeah, so certainly. So I'm very involved in community education and outreach. And so we have a lot of social media outlets. You can go to Facebook and look up Inova, and we have some information there regarding Stroke Awareness Month and stroke prevention and education. We also have more formal education in the form of lectures, a lecture series that have been going on the entire month regarding stroke awareness and prevention and management of those processes. And then as well, we did some lectures for some of our personnel inside the hospital. And so lots and lots of things going on.
So I can't let you go without asking you this question, because one, you told us before the broadcast, I mean, how rare there are of Black doctors like yourself who are in the vascular neurology area. So, and so we're really proud, to have you there and represent, and also to share this information with us. But one, how did you get into this field of medicine? And why are there so few of us?
Oh, gosh. I can talk ad nauseum about those two things. I guess the short of it is that I've always been interested in the brain. I've always been interested in disease prevention and community education and outreach and advocacy, health advocacy. And stroke, like I was mentioning, disproportionately affect Black Americans. And what I do know and what we all know is that it's a preventable disease. So why aren't there systems in place to help prevent or disseminate the knowledge of prevention to the masses? And so me just being, an advocate of health against health disparities, it led me to be more involved in disease prevention as it relates to stroke, especially because I've always had an interest in stroke. Unfortunately, my mom also suffered from a stroke at a very young age, when she was only 40 years old. And that left her with weakness on the left side of her body that she's still challenged with. But again, why? Those are the questions that we really want to entertain and try to tease out so that we can prevent another person from having a stroke. Now, in terms of the amount of Black men or Blacks in vascular neurology, I think that becomes a greater question about Blacks in medicine in general. I think a lot of it, unfortunately, relates to systemic racism and implicit biases against Blacks and African Americans. So again, those are things that we need to address, right? Because we know that Black doctors tend to stay in Black neighborhoods and Black hospitals, or hospitals in predominantly Black areas, I should say, to deliver care. And so if we want to expand healthcare in those communities, we really want to reach out to our young folk in terms of STEM programs and getting them involved in very early on in the sciences and engineering and medical sciences, so that we have more representation in the near future.
Well, I am so happy that you are representing and that you decided to represent here with us today and to talk about, how to prevent strokes. We know that this program can continue to be shared, on our Facebook channel and YouTube channel. And so we're going to do our part to help to get that word out. Definitely. And we wish you much success. We know those student loans or college tuition, the law school, the medical school costs, all of that are prevent a lot of folks from taking that road as well. But, the work still needs to be done. So you, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
All righty. Have a good one. Yeah, it's so hopefully you remember that that term that he shared with us. Sherry, you want to put that back up on the screen so that people can look at those signs: balance, eyes, facial numbness, arm weakness, speech, and time. It's what is it? Be fast. Be fast. Yeah. So if you have any of those symptoms, be fast. Go get some help. And think about Dr. Culpepper while you're on your way. And speaking of physical health, we're going to talk a little bit about mental health, but right now we're going to talk about financial health. So I'm so happy to have Jessica Ehrlich and Michelle Hemmons from the Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking here in the District of Columbia to talk to us about how can we keep our money. It's hard enough to try to make it, ladies, but then to make sure to do the right with it so that sort of build wealth in our communities. Michelle, can we start with you and just talk about, what DISB is engaged with over there? How are we trying to empower our residents financially?
Sure. So thank you for having us on the show today. We are trying to really help our residents manage their financial lives and understand what their options are. So that's the first and foremost things. There's so many resources out there. As Director Donald earlier mentioned, we want to make sure we can get those to the individuals in the community. My office provides resources and information on really how to increase generational wealth and develop really sound principles for personal money management. Many times when I teach classes and talk to individuals, they say, I wish I had this when I was younger. And so we try to share this information across all age groups. I always tell people we work with ages 9 to 99 to teach them about how to manage their personal finances. And we really want to promote financial resilience through financial education and access to those resources and skills, because one thing that we do know is not just the education, but it's also being able to act on what you've learned so that you can make positive financial decisions in your life.
And I'm glad that, no offense to anybody else, but I'm glad to have two women on the show because, first of all, we tend to be the ones that sort of manage the household resources. We have to do so with so much less than others, and have to be creative in how we manage those resources. So, Jessica, talk about that a little bit. How people are really what your programs do to help people know how to manage a lot with a little.
Well, thank you so much, Denise, for having us today. Also, Michelle is our director of our education and empowerment programming. And we also have a woman commissioner who we are here on behalf of today, Commissioner Karima Woods, and she wishes she could be with us today also, but she was had to be in some meetings with the mayor today because there's a lot going on in the district. Yes. I think there are so many programs. It's really amazing. I think when you talk about the Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking, the title seems a little intimidating. It does. And we have a three-pronged mission. two of those prongs. One is to help small businesses in the district with financing. One of them is to help our consumers and our residents. So we're here, we handle consumer complaints against everything from whether it's your car insurance, your health insurance, life insurance, anything that you insure, your business, whatever that may be, as well as how to save, how to have a savings account, what it looks like to think about, as Michelle said, generational wealth. What are you looking at in terms of retirement, thinking and planning ahead? We have some fantastic programs. It was very interesting to have, you mentioned student loans and that gap that can happen. We have a fabulous student loan ombudsman in our department. And he is there to help all of our DC residents, whether you're looking at secondary education, technical training, whether you want to go on to graduate school of any kind. He helps people manage not only debt they already have, but before you even go into debt, what are those programs available to our district residents so that they can continue their education? We have a program that helps for foreclosure prevention and mediation, where we offer free assistance to our residents who maybe because of COVID or other issues that have happened, they may be behind in their mortgage, or they're afraid they're going to be behind in their mortgage. Maybe their mortgage company hasn't been sending them their paperwork or things like that. We have a hotline and clinics that are available on weekends. Now, as things open up, we're going from the virtual world back into more of a in-person world. But we have all of this information available to our residents on our website. So to put that out there also, it's DISB, disb.dc.gov. So we were able this past year, we do a lot of in-person events around the district to try to get the information about what Michelle does, about what the rest of our department does to our residents. And even during COVID, we were able to reach over 7,600 residents through, we had 200 virtual events last year, but not everyone knows about these events. So please, if you can, go to our website. We have wonderful information there. We're even doing a new website that's coming out that's going to be even easier for our residents to be able to use, but it's got a calendar of information. We have Twitter accounts. We're always out there. Michelle's team is constantly working on new ways to use social media to reach younger folks. We have one of our staff who's been with us for decades. I won't say how long because he won't be thrilled, but he goes out and speaks to our elderly residents or residents of a certain age who are particularly this month. It's our Older Americans Financial Education Month. So we really are trying to help folks. We also just this last year helped and resolved 1,300 resident complaints that were filed against financial institutions. And when I say financial institutions, that's anything from your mortgage company to your any sort of like your banking, your insurance companies, all those things, your broker dealer, someone who's trying to sell you, an annuity, all of those things. We regulate those folks and those companies. We try to make a safe environment for our consumers and also reach out to them. And our BizCat program, where we do these morning capital and coffees to let our entrepreneurs in the district know if you're having trouble getting a regular commercial loan to expand, to hire new staff, to make it through, we have programming and availability to help you by doing matching dollars from the District of Columbia. So it's really we have so much going on. We could talk for a long time.
You really do, and that's I didn't mean to cut you off. You were
So
okay.
if people need more, please feel free to contact us. Also, you can call us anytime. You can reach out. Our phone number, I think it's on the bottom of the screen, which is great. 202-727-8000. Go to our website. Feel free to dive in and find different programming, and we're really here just to help and try to share information to educate and empower everyone.
Well, one of the things that Jessica mentioned earlier is the whole issue of generational wealth. How do we build that? And what it sounds like DISB does is not only to help to kind of fix some of the financial mistakes that we may have made in the past, but also to help us to plan financially for the future. And a lot of people in our community, I'm just going to ask you to speak to this, don't always think about the future generation. We think about, our present time. I have to pay my mortgage. I have to pay this. I have to pay that, my car note. And when I die, I don't have to worry about it anymore. But then there's the next generation that has to worry about that, right? And has to plan, hopefully has something to kind of, push them ahead so that they're not, again, still looking at fixing the mistakes of the past. So talk just briefly, if you can, just talk about generational wealth and why it's important.
Well, we don't
Either
give
one of you.
specific, yeah, we don't give advice to residents.
Right, I got
we
that.
we won't tell you like, oh, go buy this or do that or invest here. But we give you all the information. We'll tell you who is a registered broker dealer. If someone's trying to sell you any sort of products, financial products, and we give information so that people understand, yes, you may own your home, and maybe you're thinking about for the future, you haven't gone past planning for maybe your funeral services and expenses because you want those covered. But one of the big gaps that I think there's some great information out and Michelle can speak to is that difference between what it means to have, what about your pension and your retirement and all the things you've worked so hard for your whole life, to be able to share that to help your next generation continue and be able to stay in your home. And Michelle's going to talk a little bit about some of our programming on this.
Because I think she probably knows too where I was headed with that. So I just want you to kind of contribute to this, Michelle, please.
Sure. Thank you so much. I will say one of our very good programs right now is Financially Fit DC. It's an initiative that we put together to help think about your financial continuum, because we know when you're managing your finances, you're in a different place at different ages and different stages. And so really starting to have people think about, what does my future look like? And then how do I give back to the community? Because one of the things that I see in a lot of times in African-American communities, they start over and it isn't necessary. Making sure that you have the appropriate life insurance so that you can transition. I shouldn't have to see people have GoFundMe accounts so that they can pay for a funeral. And so it's the planning part of it. It's very uncomfortable conversations to have, but it's something that's very important. With our Financially Fit DC program, it's a two-based program where it's an online financial tool where we cover topics such as budgeting, credit, home buying, planning for retirement, and building wealth. But beyond that, we also have curated series where we teach people about different aspects of those topics. So we just had one a couple of months ago about estate planning and talking to people how to utilize life insurance so they can plan for their future. We do have an event coming up on Wednesday with the Mayor's Office of African American Affairs to highlight emergency resources that are available for individuals that will be streamed online. So the generational wealth piece is a big piece when we look at the racial wealth gap and what's happening in Black and Brown communities. One of the things that stops people from getting involved is the lack of education. They don't know what their resources are. But then too, they may be afraid. They don't think they have the money that's available to do certain things. But in reality, there are so many resources here in the District of Columbia. If you're a low income individual, there's so many programs for home ownership to help you so that you can start down that path of generational wealth. Home ownership is usually the first piece for an individual.
Well, I'm really glad that two of you all were able to join us today. And I've got to get you back on. We're just running out of time right now, but I want to get you back on because one, there's a very real statistic that talks about the number of unbanked individuals in the District of Columbia and the reasons why. And so also some are looking to alternative resources like cryptocurrency. And I'm sure you all have stepped a little bit into this and are going to be able to advise people about that as well. And those are two things I really want to talk to you all about if I can get you back on in really soon.
And if I could just add, we do have our Bank on DC program that addresses that unbanked and underbanked community and making sure people understand what resources are available. We've even worked with financial institutions to create low to no cost financial products and services for the community, as well as to bring out networking events and other things that are available. People can also check out what we have going on, like Jessica said earlier, on our website, disb.dc.gov.
Wonderful. Thank you too for both of you, Michelle Hammonds and Jessica Ehrlich from the Department of Insurance, Securities and Banking, for being with us today. We look forward to having you back because, you know, as that movie said, or where's the money? And we really want to know, how do we build the wealth? So thank you for coming on and to sharing all this great information with us. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much for having us.
All righty. My pleasure. Boy, we've talked a lot, and I'm really getting hungry now, Sherry. I think our next guest is the one that can help to make sure that we take care of that now or in the future, and that is none other than Wendell Alsbrook. We're going to have a quick video, and then we're going to talk to Wendell about Georgetown Butcher. Hey, Wendell, are you there?
Yes.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, you are over there at Georgetown Butcher. I've heard so much about you. Great owner of a meat shop. Explain how do you explain what Georgetown Butcher is? Because I don't want to just say it's a place where you could buy meat, but how do you describe it?
So Georgetown Butcher is a butcher shop. I recently started this company March 9th, 2020. And we sell produce. And what we do is we specialize in the product. Some of the products, stuff that we import in, stuff that we work with local farmers. And it's a hands-on experience when you go inside a butcher shop, when you come inside Georgetown Butcher.
You know, I think back when I was a kid, and my father, we would actually go to the grocery store, and he never bought the meat that was in the meat counter. He always had the butcher to cut his meat for him. And I thought that was always so exciting to see, because you say, I want this, and he would tell me the inches or tell him, you know, the size he wanted. And so that's what Georgetown Butcher offers. It's sort of like custom meat for serving, you know, your customers. Custom meat. Is that correct? What makes it different than going to the regular grocery store and coming to Georgetown Butcher?
So just like you explained, we cut everything fresh to order. We cut it on a customer or client arrival to the butcher, and they can request how they want it, what inch, how lean they want it, how fresh they want it. Do they want it to come in the same day? Do they want it 8 ounces, 16 ounces? Do they want it portion out? So the product that we sell, it's a bit expensive. So when we sell the product, you don't want to oversell the customer or the client the product, because you don't want them wasting over the food. You want them to be able to have the money so they come back and visit you in the future.
You have gotten a lot of great publicity about what you're doing there and the service that you provide. And I even heard, you know, some kinds of meats that I've never even heard of before. I mean, of course, we know the steaks and the lamb and you know, the chicken and the fish and whatever. But what are some of the other meats that you make available to your customers?
So I just had a request. A gentleman called me yesterday. It was the first time I ever had a conversation with him. And he was looking for bone-in filet mignon. And that filet mignon, the reason why he asked for bone-in filet mignon is it's a special cut. I don't know where else you can find it at, but it have a bone inside the filet mignon. Some of the top steakhouses in DC or in Maryland or Virginia, they probably have them on that menu, but you won't be able to walk into a grocery store and find that actual cut. And I also I sell Japanese A5. It's imported Japanese beef. It's Wagyu, and it's imported from Japan. It's a real fatty piece of meat, and what it does when you eat it, some researchers say it lower your cholesterol.
Oh, I need that. Fantastic.
Yeah,
Wow.
so like it's not. Yeah, it's such a fatty piece of meat. You can only probably eat like 2 to 3 ounces or 4 ounces. Other than that, you get saturated with the amount of fat
That I
that's
got you.
inside the meat. Yes.
Yeah. Wendell, we're going to take a brief break. We're having some little technical difficulties. Your screen keeps freezing. So we're going to, because I want to talk to you some more. So we're going to kind of go to our next guest and come back and see if we can fix that. Okay? All right. Wonderful. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Alyssa, how are you?
Doing great. How are you, Denise? It's great to be here.
Oh, good. And this is Alyssa Petersell with My Wellbeing. And again, this is Mental Health Month. And so, gosh, has your phone been ringing off the hook?
Yes, there's been a lot more interest in mental health, and I'm so glad to see and experience that really there's a lot less stigma around mental health because we're all finally acknowledging quite how central mental health is to our day-to-day in addition to physical health.
So, I mean, the stigma, when you talk about the issue of stigma, I think that's really, really important. And we've even had, I think we've seen athletes, we've seen entertainers, lots of folks who are beginning to talk about the fact that, they just felt like they needed someone to talk to. And not that, we can get into personal conversations, but what is it that, particularly at this time, that's been causing so much stress among your clients?
Yeah, so we see that anxiety rates are higher than ever. And a lot of that is sometimes when people feel anxiety, it's when something's out of your control or something's new or something's unusual. And I think for one thing, in the last year and a half, we've seen that COVID has really thrown a lot of our sense of normalcy completely off its tracks. And we've also seen that as chronic and systemic, some societal issues have been over the decades, over time, things like racism against Black and African American communities, things like racism against Asian communities, things like hate against Jewish communities feel like they're at a peak and that they're at an all-time high. And things like that really call people's sense of safety into question and call people's identity into question. And those things can be really frightening. And they're really important things to seek one-on-one care around so you can process your own internal strength and internal resources, but also to seek community care and seek group support and be having some of these conversations with friends and loved ones and family as much as possible.
I want to go a little deeper into that, though, because, what you said, what's happening right now is happening. I mean, we're seeing examples of it every night, which may contribute to our anxiety. But, it's happening. We're seeing it every night on the news, reading about it or seeing it every morning. And so what does talking to somebody about, what is actually happening do to help us?
Yeah. So the talk therapy itself can be really cathartic and can be really clarifying around some of the things that are happening. So sometimes when we bottle everything up, which can sometimes be what we're conditioned by society to do, or can be some of our instinct reaction, it starts to accrue something that's called emotional debt, which, similar to some of the things we were talking about earlier, can actually start to have physical health ramifications. So if you have all this stress bottled up without having avenues to get it out of our body, it'll start finding outlets. Like we'll have chronic headaches, chronic digestive issues, chronic sleep issues, or we'll notice that we're more and more irritable with our loved ones, and we'll start taking out some of these stressors on the people who we love and trust the most, which of course is not what we intend to do, but those are the areas where we feel safest. So we feel like we have to get it out somewhere, and that's where it'll come out. So versus in a safe environment with a mental health provider, you can really have some of that catharsis. And then you can also start to formulate. Sometimes when we feel most threatened, it's really, really hard to think rationally and create plans around, okay, well, what do we want to do in action oriented language? So sometimes a mental health provider can help process all of the things that come up as a knee-jerk reaction, and then really start to build, like, okay, so how do we want to create meaning out of that? What does an action plan look like out of that? But to your point, it's really important that individuals and communities have that minimum, a place where they feel like they can survive. And until that point, we're very much in a survival state of internal and external alarm bells are going on and sirens are going off of, okay, well, how do I first reach a place of safety? And working with a provider, at minimum, they can provide some tools and resources, like, for example, breathing exercises, which can sound a little foo-foo on the surface, but if you're in a moment of panic and your heart rate's increasing, you got the sweaty palms, your thoughts are racing, there are actually breathing exercises that can help regulate. So that, for example, if you're in an unsafe place, when you're panicking, your body might naturally freeze. And then you can use some of these breathing exercises. Okay, actually, I got to move. I got to get out, or I have to go do this thing, to start accessing some of the more rational parts of your brain.
Interesting. It reminds me, I may ask Chevy, we have a close friend who actually does breathing therapy. So we might get her on for a show before the month is out. But the other part to the question is accessing those resources. I know you have My Wellbeing. I'm not sure, how people could reach you. Or are you in the community? I know healthcare providers are also now beginning to look at mental health services. So, how do they access programs like yours?
The resource that I would love to share today is, in light of Mental Health Awareness Month and in light of everything that's going on, we at My Wellbeing have helped nearly 70,000 people find a therapist. And something that we've learned along the way is that financial barriers to care are very real. So what we've done, we actually partnered with a number of companies and brands, Bleacher Report being one of them, is a big sports media company, and Stars being another in movies and TV. And they sponsored free group care for people of color. So if you go to mywellbeing.com, if you visit us at Find My Wellbeing on Instagram or on Facebook, you can learn more about these groups. You can sign up. The groups are completely free. They are led by licensed mental health providers who also identify as people of color. And they'll all be rooted in anxiety management, stress management, race-based trauma, working through some of those things. And it's intentionally paired both peer supports, you're connecting with other people going through similar things, as well as facilitated by trained providers. So you're gaining, after every session, some of these tools that then, if you feel really high stress outside of the group in your day-to-day, you'll have some more tools in your back pocket that you can access.
Wonderful. I'm glad you mentioned the idea of peer programs, because that's real important for people to know that they're not walking these paths alone, that there are other people just like them who are experiencing, like you said, anxiety and coming out of it. Alyssa, I want to thank you. I know that the program got long and this got short, but I just want to make sure, is there anything else that you think we need to know before we go?
So what I'd say is, to your point, echoing your fantastic point, really, you are not alone. Anxiety affects literally 99% of us. So if you're feeling a little off, it is very normal. Even though stigma would want us to think, oh, there's something wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just a human getting through the day. And at our site, mywellbeing.com, on our Instagram, Find My Wellbeing, we really try to share a ton of resources that can help you. And if you found it hard to find a provider in the past, that also, unfortunately, it is normal. And we're really working hard to try to make that process easier. So we would love to help you. And at minimum, see if you can have some of these vulnerable, honest conversations with your loved ones. You never know, you opening up the conversation, you never know what they're going through. They may feel so relieved and so connected to you and so much more love, and vice versa. So we're all in it together, truly. And to you, Denise, thank you so much for having us today. And thanks for prioritizing the time around mental health. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, we all need to have a lot of things to work on physically, mentally, financially. We're trying to put it all together. So I'm glad that you could join us, and feel free to come back anytime.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you. So we're not done because I want to bring on Wendell. I want to get him back. Hopefully our connection's a little bit better. And, we were just talking about that Japanese beef that you import. It's amazing. And also, so I just want to kind of catch up now on, as I mentioned before, we've got holiday season coming up. Well, actually, before I go to that, let me ask you this. You said you opened in 2020. Right? Last year, in the midst of a pandemic. Where'd you get the guts to do that? Why?
So when I was transitioning out of my other company that I was working with, I picked the first week of March to open up. And the first week of March, I did a soft opener the week before. Just had the store open. But then my grand opener was March the 9th, 2020. And then I heard about the pandemic. I was hearing about COVID-19. I was hearing about this virus that was going around. And I don't want to say this, but I didn't really pay it no attention. I just had to get ready to open up and start my first company. So that was my focus. And so when I opened up the store March the 19th, within a couple of days, the mayor of DC, she declared a state of emergency to shut down the whole city. And then the whole world shut down.
Yeah.
And then, I was able to keep the store open because it was an essential store. And I was able to provide product for the community and was able to help my clientele base in Virginia with product also. So, it was just, abide by the mandates. Keep your mask on, keep 6 feet apart, social distance. And we follow all of those guidelines at Georgetown Butcher. And there was a ton of stuff happening in Georgetown. It was a ton of stuff happening around the world. So we was just standing together, me and my team of people, my partners, my financial team, my accountant, my CFO, we just all stayed together. It was a struggle. It was a fight, it was just a way of just keep coming together.
And then you also had to face, because of the George Floyd case, the killing out there in Minneapolis by the police officer. But there were demonstrations that spilled over into Georgetown as well. Were you affected by that at all?
At that point, when they stopped protesting in Georgetown, everybody boarded up their stores. And people kept calling me. They kept asking, was I was gonna board up? Was you gonna board up your store? I was just like, I just opened. If I board it up, people probably think the store don't exist. So I couldn't board up the store. And and then the street, Grace Street, is not on the main street. So it's off the beaten path. And I believe the protesters, they walked past the street. They was going towards the bigger stores in Georgetown. So we got lucky.
That's fantastic. What is your address there?
It's 3210 Grace Street, Northwest.
Wonderful. 3210 Grace Street. So what is, is there anything you want to share with us about what you're all offering, or what we need to plan for as far as these holidays that are coming up now that we're back out and people are grilling, and what does Georgetown Butcher offer?
We just provide the best service that we can provide. We put out the best product that's on the market. A lot of the product that we sell, you don't need to over season it. You don't need to marinate it for 3 or 4 days. You can put salt, pepper, and olive oil on it, and you can have the natural flavors of the food that we sell.
Wonderful. Lastly, I just want to ask, just like I asked the doctor, Wendell, I want to ask you as well. How did you get into this?
So I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and it been a journey. It been like a lifetime commitment to keep following my dreams and to being a business owner. And so I grew up in DC, inner city kid. I grew up in DC, just like a lot of the kids out here right now. I'm from Washington, DC. I grew up 13th and U. I grew up in the heart of DC. I grew up in the 80s, the 90s when, DC was, DC was, it was just a lot going on.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all I say. It's a lot going on. I love my city. I love the people that I grew up around. And, I just looked at it I wanted to be successful. I wanted to do something that, that I could stick out. I always wanted to be somebody. And so what I did was I went out, I was working at CVS Pharmacy in DC, downtown DC. Then I got a much better job working at Sutton Place, Balducci's in McLean. Then I started working for Organic Butcher in McLean. It was a butcher shop. And so I started at 2005. And once I started working there, I got in my mindset that I wanted to open up my own butcher shop. I became passionate about what I was doing. And I just always wanted to do it.
Wow.
And so, and I, it's all these opportunities kept coming, I wasn't ready at times, but I never gave up. It was just like stay ready and be ready. So when the opportunity come, you be ready this time. I tried to open up this, I tried to open up or start a company like the last 5 years and I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to do it this time. And so it became, it became something that, part of my journey. It became a lot of hard work, but it paid off. And I was happy to see that I started the company. So once COVID hit, I was just like, I gotta keep going. I don't want to sound selfish and be like, I wasn't worried or caring about anything else. I had to care about myself, my company, my employees, and the people that was around.
Well, it's interesting because the timing really could not have been better because so many people were home cooking. We couldn't go out to restaurants. We couldn't go to the movies. So everybody was in their kitchens cooking. And what made that really more exciting is to have that special cut of meat, from Georgetown Butcher. So the stars aligned for you. And I think that's great. And so I don't know. We had to stop and start, but is there anything else you want to share with us about your experience before we go?
I think I said a lot. I heard a lot of positive information that I didn't know about. So I'm more than blessed to be a part of this show and to talk to, and talk to the community about what I do and just about hearing other people talk also.
I want to just ask you in closing though, because right now, with COVID and a lot of companies are looking for employees. They're looking for workers right now, and they're having a difficult time finding them. And then we have a lot of young people, because of situations regarding school. And the word now is, maybe college education is not necessary. But what kind of words of inspiration would you give to somebody who, like yourself, grew up at 13th and U or over here in Southeast or Northeast or wherever? What words would you give them to keep them as motivated as you have been?
So my thing is, I would tell everybody that live in a single parent home, listen to your mother, and she will guide you in the direction where you need to go. You know, like it's a lot of single parent moms in DC. I grew up in a single parent home. And what my mom told me was keep going forward, stay away from whatever you need to stay away from. Like I was a kid growing up in the city. I always didn't listen to her, but I did listen to her, and she made a lot of sense. And she just like stay away from what you need to stay away from, and like just keep going forward. You'll get there, and and that's the thing about the kids now. Like that's the message. Keep going forward. You will get there. You need to cut a friend back here and there. You need to cut, you need to cut some stuff off in order for you to take the next step. You need to go talk to a person that you don't know so you can gain information, knowledge from. It might not be in a school. It might be at a church. It might be at a I spent a lot of time at Martha's Table. It was a community center right down 14th Street. I spent a lot of time there. And, like I talked to a lot of people when I was young. And, like that's what the younger generation need to do is talk to people, gain all the knowledge, get all the information, because it's out here. Just like the people on the panel said before, it's a lot of resources out here that we don't know about. I never know about it, I'm glad that, I got to the point where I'm at right now by just listening and paying attention.
Wonderful. Sherry just told me that you lost your mom last year, but still, I guess her strength kept you going, and so God bless you, and you'll see me.
Okay.
All righty.
Okay. Tell your son I said hi, and like without him, I wouldn't be on the show right now. So.
All right. No. I will let him know that. I'll definitely let him know that. Wendell, good luck to you. And we're asking all of our viewers to go over to Georgetown Butcher and check him out and tell him you saw him on Win TV. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. So that brings us to the end of I think, a very exciting show. I told Sherry in the beginning, this doesn't sound really exciting, but it turned out that way. You never know. That's what my daddy used to say. You never know. So I hope you felt the same way. I hope that you were able to find some information that you can use and to share with your community. We're going to go now to the media. We have one thing, which is, of course, our Black History Facts, and then we're going to go to the media prints and then to Sounds of the DMV. So thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. Stay safe and enjoy.
Here's another edition of Win TV's Black Facts. May 21st, 1959 is the birth date of attorney and public prosecutor Loretta Elizabeth Lynch, born in Greensboro, North Carolina. May 22nd, 1967, Black American writer, poet, and social activist Langston Hughes died in New York, New York. On May 23, 1900, Sergeant William H. Carney was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for the Battle of Fort Wagner, becoming the first Black soldier to receive the award. On May 24, 1887, E. McCoy successfully patented the lubricator for safety valves. May 25, 1970, American actress Octavia Spencer was born in Montgomery, Alabama. May 26, 1949 is the birth date of actress Pam Grier, famously known for her 1970s blaxploitation films. And lastly, May 27th, the late and loved Lisa Left Eye Lopez from pop girl group TLC was born in 1971. Reporting from the Washington Informer, this is Lindiwe Vilakazi.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching this, you have made it through another week. So you know what that means. It's Friday! Yeah, we got new music, we got new movement, we got everything new. And what about Drake, Nicki, and Lil Wayne here in DC? Sit back, you are now tuned into what's going on in DC. Yo, it's your boy, the Media Prince. Let's get straight into it. First up, DMV's own Corday lets us in on a secret. He's very rich in my Nene Leakes voice. Take a look now and see how.
I probably saved like 80% of my income. I was just extremely liquid at the time. You get what I'm saying? I just had a bunch of money just sitting in a savings account for sure. And you got to have your money work for you. You know, my stepdad was telling me that. So I bought Apple, and this was last March, and it was dirt cheap. It was under 19,000. So I bought Apple. I bought Neo, which is like the Chinese Tesla, when it was like at $5 a share.
Ooh, that ran up to 60.
Yeah, Sarsky. Feel me?
Come on, DC. It's time to invest and make our money work for us. DC, the time has come. Starting now in DC, if you are fully vaccinated, you are no longer required to wear a mask unless you're on public transportation, in school, work, or healthcare settings. Well, if you ask me, it sounds like you still gotta wear your mask. DC's own Tracy J, founder of EQ Nation Zero, is back to help us heal in a major way. Now, you've seen her break down mental health for us on her Facebook show with our girl Taraji P. Henson. Now is your chance to receive some of this healing for yourself with her British Virgin Island retreat. So head over to EQ Nation Zero on Instagram for all details, and that's EQNATION_0, spelled all the way out. Now, while we are on the subject of speaking of these epic ladies, Tracy Jade and Taraji P. Henson, their foundation, the Boris L. Henson Foundation, are telling us about the unspoken curriculum. Take a look.
It's what you learned in school today.
Today I learned I can wake up to a stressed out mom, come home to a dad dealing with things he does not have the power to speak on, that I can watch people who look like me be murdered on TV, that I can be crumbling inside, like the foundations of the playgrounds I'm supposed to be able to play on, and the only thing anyone at school will ask me is, why didn't I do my English homework last night?
So what did I learn today? Exactly what you taught me.
So DMV, Maya is back with another opportunity to chat with her on May 30th. Head over to her Instagram now and stop missing your chance. And she's being nice this time. It's all about you. Ari Lennox shuts down the gram with these epic pics. Okay, now close your mouth, you're drooling. So my Montgomery County watchers, you are now moving into phase 2 of the reopening plan, ending all COVID-19 restrictions starting May 28th. Get excited. So all my DMV musicians, we have an amazing think tank here called Made in the DMV, and they want to help all the talented artists of the area. Take a look.
I'm Bird. I'm the owner and founder of Made in the DMV.
The purpose of Made Sessions is to try to solve some of the infrastructure problems that we have in the DMV when it comes to music.
Want people to know that it's okay to work with each other in this area. Knowing them, last time we had 3 hours. We came out with like 4 hits. I've given them 12 hours. Might come out with 12 songs, 12 hits.
People can say we don't have labels here. We don't have enough media outlets. We don't have enough recording studios. None of that matters if you don't have the people creating. As long as we are able to bring people together and craft and create the music, we can go anywhere with it.
So you know this guy is my inspo in the game. The one and only Pat is Dope makes his commercial debut for New Balance. Take a look.
It's Gray Day.
Hey, yo, Pat.
What up?
What heat you got over there?
These the OG of OGs. A shoe that only gets better with time. New Balance 574, great. It was all about the reflector, the stitching, the classic tongue, and of course, that great. Dope boys, fly chicks, the who's who's. This is beautiful. Everybody and mama had a pair of these.
Oh, yeah. My grandma used to rock those.
Granny had a stupid swag.
You can rock these with anything.
Man, these like my everyday shoe. Can't go wrong. Real.
So what's it gonna be today, OG?
The classic.
Classic it is.
Worn by anyone.
Speaking of New Balance, let's take a look at the actual DC 992s coming to you May 28th by D. June Sanders. So this weekend, something epic is happening and your boy the Media Prince is involved. But to explain all the greatness, let's chat with my girl Dior Ashley Brown. So sis, let us know exactly what is happening this weekend.
Super excited to bring to you this weekend the DC Music Summit. Woo! The summit's going to be May 21st, 22nd, 23rd. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It is going to be hybrid. That means you can attend the summit completely online, virtually from your home or office, or in person at the Eaton Hotel. The DC Music Summit is a DC-based nonprofit that empowers creative entrepreneurship. So we want artists and we want our local industry to learn their business, be about their business, so we can really make arts and music something amazing in the DMV region and beyond. So DC Music Summit is dope. Make sure you check us out at dcmusicsummit.org. I hope to see you this weekend. No, I will see you this weekend. We love the Media Prince. We love you, baby. We love the bridge. We love all y'all. We appreciate you. Media Prince, y'all are dope. It's your girl, Dior Ashley Brown. We out.
Before we go, I want to give you some DMV albums to add to your repertoire. So we got Big Flop, All Eyes on Me, KG in the Building, Wave Control, Young E-Class, Bag Season, Pinky Killercorns, Corn, Lick Her, and Internet James, Keep It Clean. So I thank you for tuning in to yet another week of What's Going On DC. Again, I'm your boy, The Media Prince. Make sure you head over to wibridgedc.com to catch all this and more. And don't forget to follow our hashtags on social media, WGODC and WIBridgeTMP style, to catch all your latest looks. Now, don't forget to subscribe because we want you to stay tuned in on our YouTube. So until next week, let's have a great weekend.
It's your boy Fontaine. You rocking with the hottest in the world right now. Yeah. I hit the gas to slow it down in a fast life. Couple chances on my way to get the cash right. Met a couple good women, but shit, we wasn't ready. I just rather chase a bag, but it's nothing heavy. My brother growing up without me, I got a looking wave. If I can't give him $1 million, spinning my grave. This shit forever or for at least to your dying day. Cause real niggas live forever, what I'm trying to say. I can't lie, if I was you, I would be mad too. But why you mad if you could get to the bag too? I'm only rolling designer, homage got me proper. I don't know who introduced her, but they better watch her. Rap niggas give them Chanel, but she for pasta. Yeah, okay, I got her nails cause the hair proper. We all got a story, be true to who you are. I made it out the jungle with beautiful scars. Shout to all my in the fields, and shout to all the ladies here with heels. I pray that we can have success for real. Now pop that bottle, let that champagne spill. The shit you do on the weekend, the shit that we do every day. We work for this. I just want to talk to y'all for a second. This life of mine with pretty women and dollar signs. Plenty niggas that zip you up if you out of line. I'm always in my prime, so this is my greatest hits. Her off that 42, we bout to make a flip. Protected by blessings and weapons, of course. How you say you in my league and this ain't even that sport? He took years instead of life, ain't shit to settle in court. I'ma hold the family, just get right with the Lord. Take a second, tell your niggas rest in peace. If you a boss, you take your niggas out the streets. I took a loss, but I got better with defeat. Now when a nigga win it, people standing on their feet. I gotta be successful cause I love expensive shit. Proud of Louis Chanel, I got an expensive chick. If it hurt you to see me shining this year, you just gon' be sick. Yeah, we all got a story, but yours ain't never be this. Shout to all my niggas in the fields, and shout to all the ladies here with heels. I pray that we can have success for real. Now go and pop that bottle, let that champagne spill. The shit that you niggas die for is the shit that I live with. I only sit with niggas I slid with, and on God, that's some real shit. Yeah, these niggas hating, so I gotta shake them off me. They see these diamonds, but they don't know what it cost me. I was with it since they put me in the car seat. Out the street, but can't forget about what it taught me. Plenty women, but sometimes it get exhausting. She want diamonds or she wanna have my offspring. Before I'm gone, I'm tryna rule the world. Before it's gone, I'm tryna rule the world. Oh, baby. Before it's gone, I'm tryna rule the world. Before I'm gone, I'm tryna rule the world. Oh, baby. Before it's gone, I wanna rule the world. Before it's gone, I'm tryna rule the world. Oh, baby. Before it's gone, I wanna rule the world. Before I'm gone, I wanna rule the world. Oh, baby. Before it's gone, I wanna rule the world. Before it's gone, I wanna rule the world. Oh, baby. It's your boy Fontana. You rocking with the hottest in the world right now. DC affected the music that I create by making me want to pick up the tempo and just have people enjoy the music that I make, because go-go and the crank music that come out of the area is fast-paced and it make everybody want to dance and everything like that. So me being from New York, it's a little slower tempo. That make me want to pick it up and just have more fun with it. When I record my songs, I consider my audience to be children. I seek immortality through my music. This is my way of living forever. So I want to talk to the youth for real. Songs or projects that I have that people should be looking forward to would be my I Am Truly EP coming out June 6th. I'm gonna give you guys a nice variety and show the versatility that I have. I'm gonna give you a bit of the traditional. I'm gonna give you an up-tempo club banger. I'm gonna give you an anthem. I'm gonna give you the pain, and we're gonna vibe out as well too. You can follow me on all social media at Nove Fontaine, Novefontaine.